Alright everyone, so I'm going to tell you about the hardware that I actually improved, changed, and modified. So in this part, I'm going to talk to you guys over, and hopefully this part will give you guys a better idea why I made these changes. First and foremost, temperatures on the CPU. Very poorly, the thermal paste that was applied on the CPU and the GPU was applied very poorly. So I added my own, which is called PK3, and the temperatures went down a lot. I mean, from 88 Celsius to down to 71 Celsius, that's a big increase. So, and the GPU as well was hitting almost 90, now is only hitting about 65 to 72 Celsius when gaming. But I did also add Kingston HyperX 4 gigabytes of DDR4 2133 to add to the 8 gigabytes of 2133 megahertz DDR4 RAM, which gives me 12 gigabytes of RAM. So it gives me a little bit more leeway when editing photos, Lightroom, YouTube videos, my photography work, and much more. Another is the mechanical hard drive that came with it. Trashed that to the side and added my own SSD, which is the Patriot Unite 480 gigabyte SSD. Gives me reads and writes of 600, and this is my new addition. This is my M.2 PCIe SSD, which is from Mushkin Pilot, the 250 gigabyte SSD, which has a write speed of 1700 and a read speed up to 1500 megabits per second. And I tell you this SSD is fast as hell. Boot times are about 6 seconds. So if you haven't been on my YouTube channel or my Facebook or my Instagram, you see this baby loads up in 6 seconds. Another reason that I changed things to the CPU was also that I undervolt the CPU, which I downloaded the Intel's Extreme Tuner Utility. So I'm about negative 0.120 volts undervolt, so it gives me a better lowered temperature, but also will not lose performance at the same time. So the laptop will run much quieter and smoothly. Now I did make some modifications, some tweaks in the settings with the graphics card, overclocking that as well. I have no problem. I'm still seeing temperatures in the 70s, but these JBL subwoofer speakers right here, there's a speaker here, and a subwoofer here. Amazing sound coming from these headphones. Coming from this laptop. It's impressive what this laptop can do. I can literally hit this laptop from 3 rooms away at a noise level at 45 to 40 decibels. That bass is pretty damn good. With that said, alright, so let's talk about the keyboard layout, the materials, and the mousepad. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about the materials. This is a nice, smooth material they're using. I don't know exactly what it is. It's like a matte, smooth finish, but it is prone to fingerprints. So if you see the fingerprints right now on the keyboards or on the material itself, yeah, you might have see it, but it is prone to fingerprints. I would suggest that you take a microfiber cloth and wipe down the fingerprints, so that'd be a good idea. Now the keyboard layout, it's something different, because normally on my Gigabytes or my Alienware laptops, I always have multiple language keyout layouts on my keyboard. This is the first Lenovo gaming laptop that I ever owned that has the number pads on the side that, in my opinion, a little too close to the arrow keys when trying to use the arrow keys or the number pads. I always accidentally, since I had this laptop, always press that right arrow key for some reason when I'm trying to press 0. I just find that a little bit awkward. Now, there's LED modes. There's only 2 modes. There's a medium mode and a really bright mode. But in my opinion, if you don't like red, turn it off. But now the mouse pad. First and foremost, before we get into the mouse pad, the keyboard layout when I'm actually gaming, and as I said, if you heard from the last clip that I undervolt my CPU when I'm gaming, my hands are pretty cool. Now there is some warmness to the surface of the keyboard, but it is not extreme. It is not over exaggerated. When someone says it's warm to the touch, it's actually really, I would say about really underwarm to the touch, but your hands don't sweat. That's a great thing. Now mousepad, it's really accurate, it's really nice, and really fast, and really responsive, but look at this carefully. Look how much travel I have to do to order to click. Look at that big gap. That's a big gap. I literally have to press down pretty hard to order to get some response back from this keyboard right and left keyed. So there's a lot of travel there. So maybe a little bit better mouse pad in the future for the next model. But other than that, it's a great laptop. It has done really well. The materials are pretty good, but I still clean it off and on, as you can see. And it's great. Now this is the Intel Extreme Tilting Utility. This is how I was able to offset my voltage to negative 1.20 volts. So, and you can see here on the right hand corner, negative 0.20 volts. Now I did go to 140, but I got an orange screen of death, which was telling me that the CPU was not acting normal or acting right. So I had to back down and go about 120, and seems like 120 is a sweet spot for undervolting your CPU for lower temperatures. Now keep in mind, take this with a grain of salt. I do not hold any responsibility if you decide to do this to your CPU without doing any research. So please do the research, and please do not think that you're an expert, know what you're doing. Make sure that you check your CPU's voltage limit, and with quad cores, with 6700, it's about max 150. But with dual cores, you may want to consider about negative 50, negative 40, negative 60. But I digress. With that said, I was able to get lower temperatures this way and have a stable and much quieter laptop when running. And as you can see or hear, the laptop is running pretty quiet. Now, there's not a lot of load at this time, but when there is load, the fans do kick up and you don't hear it as much, but you can feel the rumble of the fans just spinning just slightly. I'm just going to confirm the hardware that I have here. You can see the Intel i7-67HQ quad core. You can see that the core speed is undervolting, and you can see that I have 4 cores, 8 threads. So you guys can see and validate. You can see that I am running 12 gigabytes of DDR4. They are syncing compatible. So yes, start up. Heavily benchmark to stress this out. So I'm going to leave everything on English, custom, DirectX 11, quality on medium, tessellation on moderate, and disable everything else, enter alias on number ×2, and we're going to do a warm-up test. So as of right now, I'm running this heavily benchmark test. You can see the FPS in the corner, you can see the benchmark. I'm gonna let this run until it actually is completed. I just finished letting it do a little bit of warm up by letting it run for about an additional 5 minutes before I started the benchmark. Now you can hear the fans kick in. So I'm literally right in front of the laptop on the right hand side, and listen to the fans. Super quiet, super impressive, and I believe that the fans do a great job. Sorry for the mic input. The fans do a great job, but from this distance, now I'm behind the recording camera right now, and I can hear the fans just slightly just increase just a bit. Alright, so the benchmark is coming to a close. So what are my results? So my minimum FPS is 10.9. My max is 142.6. And my score was 1096. That is pretty good for a 2GB 960M graphics card. Overclocked, in my opinion. But to keep the frame rate at 43.5 is a really consider it a really good laptop to consider it. Even in 2018, this laptop was made sometime in November 2016 and October 2016, and it's 2018. So can this laptop do and play modern games? Yes, it can. It can play modern games. It can play even the latest games in that fact. So with that said, the gaming benchmark test is over. I would do a lot more gaming tests, but you guys already know the results. If you guys are not hitting these scores with your Y700, then you know that you're doing something wrong. You know you can get a little bit more juice out of it without breaking the laptop. But like I said, take this with a grain of salt. This is just my personal experience fixing and operating on laptops. But with that said, so this is a 1080p IPS display. It's 60 Hertz. You won't get a 120 Hertz display, but you can opt out for a 4K touchscreen, or I believe a 4K non-touchscreen. But at the moment, they only had 1080p IPS 60 Hertz. So the color calibration was off. I had to use the LG's color calibration because that LG's color calibration fixed the Lenovo Y520's color calibration issue, and it did fix mine. But I do find that my skin tones are a little bit warmer than usual, so I still am tweaking that. So it's 90% completed. Now keep in mind that there's an anti-glare film that comes on top of the monitor or the display. I took that shit off right away. I'm sorry for the language, but it would look, my image looked so soft and washed out. And once I took that anti-film glare off, it looked so much better. And as you can see, I'm filming with my DSLR or my mirrorless camera. And you can see that I'm not sure if the camera's doing it justice, but it looks pretty damn impressive and good. You should see what it looked like before. It looked like trash. But the Adobe RGB is not that great on this monitor. If you fix it, you may get better results as I did. But with that said, I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm pretty happy with the colors now than I was before. So here are my final conclusions on this Lenovo IdeaPad Y700 15-inch gaming laptop in 2018. Now this was originally released late 2016, very popular in 2017. So let's get all the cons out the way first. So 1, disappointed by the display. The anti-glare makes it look very soft and washed out. 2, the display color accuracy is poor. Contrast levels in blacks are great. After calibrating the display with a LG monitor calibration, it actually looks much better. The CPU and GPU. The thermal compound that was actually applied to CPU and GPU was poorly applied, which raised temperatures up to 91 Celsius, which is not very impressive at all in Lenovo. The mechanical hard drive that comes with it. Not a big fan with slow 2 minutes and 47-second boot up times. Not very impressive. Now, I'm not a big fan of the red key layout, but it works, I guess. Other than that, me dealing with the software and the updates was tedious. Not to say that the hard drive has a partition for the restore, which is not allowing you to actually install on any SSDs or any other hard drive. It has to be installed on that particular hard drive that they give you, which in my opinion, Lenovo, is a bad choice and a bad idea to do. I want that option was because I really wanted to have not the option to download all these drivers once again. Have the system install the drivers and have the software update the drivers afterwards, which will be a better suitable approach. But I digress. Temperatures are very nice and comfortable. Now, the mechanical layout of the hinge on the monitor, people talk about it a lot, but to me it seems very sturdy and very impressive. It's not making any click noises or any pinching noise, which is great. The speakers, the JBL speakers, are just phenomenal. The bass, the clarity, the vocals, oh my goodness, the best that I heard on a laptop. Now, it is a cutting edge laptop, and now you can get it for about $750 to $800. It was retail for $1,000, but I believe it's discontinued. But if I were you, I would definitely go to this website, Lenovo's website, read all the comments and the purchasers that purchased this laptop. It's a mixed batch. It's a 4 out of 5, but I would rate it a 3.9 out of 5. After all the improvements I have done to this laptop, it runs much better, much smoother. I really don't see why 8 gigabytes is like the standard. 12 gigabytes should be the sweet spot for what you're doing as a YouTuber, gamer, or you're doing Twitch, or you're doing OBS, live streaming. I think 12 gigabytes is just enough, and that's why I went with 12 gigabytes. But with that said, it's a great laptop, build quality is phenomenal, but with that said, please subscribe to the channel, please like, share, and comment. And if you want to support the channel, please, there's a PayPal link down in the description below. It really does help me out as a photographer. I do have a website at 646studios.com where photography and videography matters, where you can read tutorials about what I do and videography tutorials and guides. But with that said, this has been my final conclusions on the Lenovo IdeaPad Y700 50-inch gaming laptop. With that said, eat, sleep, gaming, videography, photography, and repeat. And I will see you guys in the next video. You guys take care. Happy shooting. Peace.